Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm super excited to geek out with you today, and I have an awesome guest, Jen, with me, and we're going to geek out on BioDrop. And before I get into what we're going to be working on, let's do an intro to Jen. So I met Jen at a Code Bar Unconference in London, and Jen is studying for a master's in computer science. But Jen, please give yourself a shout out and an intro on what tech you're playing with and learning at the moment.
Well, I should also mention that this is my very first live stream pair programming session. So if I appear to be stuttering over sentences and just overall anxious, just don't mind me, because
you will be fine, and everyone here is super supportive, so don't worry.
I'm not sure how I feel about broadcasting my stupidity on air, but here we are. So when I first started, so I'm a career transitioner. I used to be a science teacher. I've taught in Canada and taught in the UK as well. During COVID, I decided to take the plunge and transition over to a tech industry. My first exposure to any type of coding language is Java, HTML, CSS, and then React and JavaScript, but more on the front end basis, because I had attended a boot camp that was 4 months in total. So I've done 3 projects using React and vanilla JavaScript. And then for about the last, and then due to personal circumstances, I took a bit of a break. And then for about the last year or so, a little over a year, I've been playing around with Node.js, so the backend, which I feel like I enjoy more of the backend more so than the front end. The front end is just mostly CSS that I don't personally enjoy. But like HTML, I'm cool with it. React is fun, but it's just this particularly CSS I'm just not a fan of. So sorry if I've offended anyone who's a massive fan of CSS in general. So Node.js, also exploring Express as the framework, and then just learning more about object-oriented programming as well. So more of like the JavaScript, Node.js domain, and also Jest, because I've also explore TDD as well, which is something very important and very relevant, and it's just a nice tool to have in every developer's job, and also that's what is expected for pretty much every developer these days, TDD. And a bit of Ruby as well.
Quite a mix, and it's good. It sounds like you've got quite a broad script spectrum, and it's good that you know what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, or I prefer more. So it's interesting that you prefer the back end more. That's quite interesting. Me as well. I do full stack, but I actually prefer the back end more as well. I find the front end a lot harder than the back end.
I think because the front end usually has to do and deals with the aesthetics more a little bit. Not to say that I don't enjoy aesthetics. I do enjoy makeup and all that, but I just sort of putting the terminology I use is putting makeup on a web page. I know it is very important because that's UX UI. However, it's just it just doesn't come to me naturally, the color scheme, and the button should be here, the button should be this shape, and
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same, so I completely understand.
I'm not saying that because I am very visual. When it comes to my learning, I'm very visual, but it's just when it's just applying makeup on HTML, I'm just
I've just done a poll in the YouTube live, so we'll give it 10-15 minutes to see some results, and see what people prefer, front end or back end. It's quite interesting. Let's just do some shout outs. So great to have Praduma here, who was first. Thank you so much for joining. We have Vishal and Code with, I'm not going to say this right, Klist, hope I said that okay. Sankit and Chrissy and Shubdeep, awesome to have you all here. Let's talk about what Jen is going to build today and what Jen's going to teach me. So we're going to build this. So I want to just, on my screen, we're going to build something like this. So, and how do we get here? Let me show you. So if I go into my account on BioDrop and I go to the statistics page, at the moment we have, this is local. So the data is very, very small. I have referrers. So where people have come from, like which URL. And their location, and again, the data is very, very small. So On production, there's a lot more data. So there could be, we limit it to 5, a list of 5 in both, but there's a lot more. And so what we're going to build today is kind of like a button that takes us through to a page dedicated to the referrers block, to the referrers table. Block's probably not the right word. And I did this for the location one. And this is what I kind of came up with. I thought we could do something similar. We have a table with the results. Again, locally, it's limited to just 3 results. And then this is the pie chart. This is just an image at the moment. That's why it's no interaction. But it's in the pie chart of the kind of the split. So yes, the pie chart shows the number and not the location, but I purposely left that bug in because I thought then someone could raise that fix as well. Sharing all the green squares, love. So there will be a button here for locations, and there is a button for referrers as well. So that's what I've opened this twice. That's what we're going to be working on today. And I think the easiest way to do this is, because I've got data in my database referring to this, I'm going to try and get Jen to connect to my VS Code, and I'm going to switch to this branch. And hopefully that will work. Let's see what everyone else thinks. And hopefully everyone thinks it's a useful feature as well. So what do you think, Jen? Does it sound interesting?
Yeah, is it the live share on VSC?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. I've used it with with my mentor before, and it's definitely very useful.
I need to remember how to do it now. It's been a long time since I've done this. Okay, so share. Here we go. Starting the session. Copy the link, and I will send it to you in the private chat as well in StreamYard. So hopefully that will work for you, and we can see you join. And then while you're doing that, I will explain to everyone what I'm going to do, which is I always recommend doing a git pull just before you get started. Make sure you got the latest changes in your main branch, because then you can update your other branches with that. So I'm up to date, which is good. And then I'm going to switch to this branch as well, which I've called feature-location-details. So let me switch to branch. And so now if I go back to my local computer, you can see this button has appeared. And then it allows me to click it. And then I go to see this table and this graph that that I showed you the screenshot before. So Jen is going to do the referrers clickable link and the page for referrers as well. And we've got a reference if we need it, if I forget how to do it or we get stuck. So yes. And before we do that, I'm just going to say the results are still going. We've had 11 votes on the front end and back end, and front end is 82% and back end is 18%. So Jen, we're in the minority, but that's fine. That's good. More people who do the front end can help us out. So that's good.
Am I on? Because I clicked on the link that you showed me and it brought me to like the browser tab, and then
let's have a look.
And it told me
you'll need to log in.
I need to log in.
It might ask you to log in if you haven't used it in a while. It might ask you to log in with your GitHub, I think, on that link.
It did not. Let me do this again.
Oh, Chrissy noticed something as well. Good question, Chrissy. Why is it link free in my terminal? It's because that's the folder it's in, and I haven't renamed it, so I should really rename it. Otherwise, you're right, it is confusing. So I do type BioDrop, and it says folder not found. So that's why I need to rename that. But I won't do that just today, just now, because I might break something. But good question.
Sorry, so it says open Visual Studio Code. I say yes, always allow C code. So I go open Visual Studio Code.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's working this time.
Okay, we should see you pop up here on the left, hopefully, once it connects through.
Yeah, because now I've got 2 VSC windows. And then on the browser, it says I can close this tab now. So I'm going, but then it's got install, cancel, try again. So do I just hit cancel?
Ooh, let's bring your screen up on the display and let's have a look. That's in the browser. It says connecting. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes, you're connected now. Awesome. That worked.
Okay.
Perfect.
So
I can see you here.
VSC window then?
You can close your one so you don't get confused, but the one that opened up, keep that one so you can stay connected. Yep, that's the one.
Close the browser tab, right? Because it's all
and you can close the, you can give that a close as well. So everyone, we purposely did not go through this before the live stream because we wanted to show you what it's really like pairing with someone remotely, which we all do quite a lot. We do it asynchronously on GitHub and Discord, but sometimes we do it synchronously. And so, yeah, I wanted to show you how kind of real and authentic it is and the technical issues we may have. So this index file is this page. It's this page here. So I think you can get coding, and I'm here to answer any questions. So if I don't know if you'll be able to see it running locally. What happens? There is a way to get it running locally so you can actually see your changes. And I forget how it is. Oh, can someone help me in the chat? You need to visit. I should have thought about this beforehand. Let's see. Make your screen a bit bigger and see. There is something you can do to see what. I'm still sharing your screen on the screen, but there is a way to see. Let me add my screen back. So there is a way. So I've got you here. So you've definitely connected to mine. But what we want to do is for you to be able to see the browser. Otherwise, I'll have to keep sharing my screen to see the changes, which isn't very nice. So I'm hoping someone changes it. So, sorry, I hope someone fills us in on how to do it. Let me bring your screen back up, Jen. And then on your screen, there should be in VS Code. Oh, no, I switched back to your screen. So if you go back to VS Code, there should be a way. If you go to live share on the left, I think there is a way for you to see it. Halfway up the page on the left-hand side, you've got the icons that are vertical down the left. So you have files, search. Yeah, that last one. Yeah, that last one. There should be a way to see the server. Let me see. There's no servers. Okay, so that could be my fault. So what I'm going to do, I'll tell you why that's my fault. Because I think I need to start the server, not in the terminal. So let me go back to my screen. And I've got the server running in just normal Apple terminal. I want to stop it there. And I'm going to start it in... I want to start it in VS Code. And I think that might fix it, so you'll be able to see it. So if I do npm run dev, got my Mongo already running locally on Docker. And if I run it, I'm hoping you'll be able to, yeah, shared servers. So now it appears. So if I switch back to your screen, if you look on the left, you should see shared servers. So you've got participants, Eddie, shared terminals. If you click on that, if you click on that, I'm hoping it opens in your browser. Yes. Okay, so any changes that we make, you should see. It might be a little bit slow, but it should load. So let's give it a moment. It's been a long time since I used VS Code. Perfect. But you're not logged in. Oh, this is going to be more challenging than I thought. Okay, to try and log in, it should still work because it will have my GitHub credentials in terms of the OAuth. So if you hit, not on the GitHub icon, if you hit on the login button on BioDrop, just to the top right, you've got login.
Okay, login.
And then it should ask you to log in, and it should all work correctly. So this is going to be, I'm doing something new here. It's going to be a good test. So if you continue with GitHub, let's see if this works. What do you think, everyone, out of 10? Is this going to work? I'm pretty confident. I'm thinking it's going to be a 9. Link-free local by Eddie. That's correct, because I haven't renamed my local one purposely. So that's correct. I won't see any of your personal information because it's all going to GitHub, not to my local computer. And it will tell my local computer that you are who you say you are. That's all it will send it to me. Perfect. And you just need this is great. So therefore, if I switch back to mine for a moment, and we're going to see something. If I switch back to my screen, you will need to add a profile, but I'm just going to switch back to my screen for a moment. And I want to bring up, I'm using Mongo Compass just to manage the data. If I go to users, normally it just shows me, but it looks like I should see Jen. Let's have a look. Jen's here at the bottom. So I'm going to change your account to just in the database, just a really dirty hack, to premium, so you can see that page as well. So you can see the page that we want to work on. And now that should work. So if we switch back to your screen, I want to bring your screen up. And if you set, if you create a profile, just again, it's just on my local computer. So you can just, put in test. So if you click on the profile button, exactly, and then it for your name or tags or anything like that, it will be slow. I can see the requests coming in on my computer. You can just type in test. You can just type in anything. It's just not live on it's live on the live stream, but it's not live on BioDrop live, if that makes sense. It's just all local. And then if you scroll to the bottom and hit save, perfect. Okay, brilliant. So next, if you scroll to the top and go back to statistics, say for example, and then you should hit view on the top right. Perfect. Yeah. It should load your kind of basic profile. You'll have no links or anything like that, but it should work. There we go. No links found, but you've got a profile, so that's all working. It's the first time I've done that, so that's super, super interesting. So thank you so much for testing it out with me, Jen. I didn't know if that would ever work, but now we know it does. Okay, awesome. So you need some data. This is the next challenge we have. So the way I can do that is I can actually go visit your profile now. So if I bring up my screen and I go to, here we go. If I go to search, or if I go to discover, I think you should be, we go discover. So you're at the top of the discover now because you've just updated your profile. Oh, let me see. I've got my screen shared, haven't I? Yeah, perfect. We can see Jen there. And if I click on Jen and I refresh the page a few times, it's going to increment Jen's stats a bit, which I think is going to work quite well. And now if I bring Jen's screen back up, and if Jen goes back to the stats page and refreshes it, let's see if you have some. So if you click on account at the top right, you should hopefully have, and then statistics at the top left on the tabs. Yep. You should hopefully have some data. What do you have? You have some data. Brilliant. So you've got location and you've got referrers. This is all because it's localhost. So now you've got that. I can just quickly fake a bit more data for you, and then we're going to get coding. So let me just bring up my screen one last time so people can see how I kind of fake data locally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to profiles. I'm going to find Jen's profile. I've forgotten what your username is. So let me just grab it from the URL here. I'm going to search in profiles.
So Mongoose, right? Or Mongo Atlas.
So the names are very confusing. So I'm glad you brought this up. So in the cloud, we use Mongo Atlas. Locally, I use Mongo, just Mongo. And they're kind of almost the same thing. And then Mongoose is a library we use to connect our code to Mongo. And then this little tool to help me navigate the data and make little changes is called Mongo Compass. So it's all very confusing.
So the screen that you're currently displaying, this is the Mongoose what?
This is Mongo Compass.
This is the Compass. Okay, so I think I sort of get it now. So I think the Compass is kind of like the equivalent of GitHub Desktop.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good example. Absolutely love that. Perfect. Yes.
Okay, and then whereas, because you were saying, so Mongo Atlas is the database itself, so kind of like SQL, and then SQLite is the language. It's the tool that you use to talk to SQL, right?
SQLite is more of like a local version of. I mean, you can host it in the cloud, but it's more of like a lightweight version of SQL. So it needs less resources to run, but I think it has limited with like the size of the data and stuff like that. So I would say GitHub Desktop is a good example for Mongo Compass that I've got on my screen now. And then you're right, SQL in the cloud will be Mongo Atlas, and then you can run SQL locally, which is just Mongo, and then. In terms of Mongoose, that's like.
My understanding is that SQLite it's the management system.
Not as far as I know. I haven't used SQLite in years, but my understanding was it's just like a lighter version of it, and you can use the file system more without like kind of loads of services running.
Yeah.
So Mongoose, I would say, is like an ORM, which is like an object relational mapper. So we can write things in code, and we get nice functions like .save or update, and it does all these cool stuff with the database. Prisma is another one, or people from the Java world will use Hibernate. PHP world, I think they have. Oh god, I can't remember the name now. But Doctrine, which is based on Hibernate. So yeah, Mongoose is what we use in our code. So in our code, when we write things like, where is it? It won't be in this file. Let me just switch back.
It's kind of like connects then, because I've also used connects or next, however you pronounce that, in the JavaScript world.
Which one is that? I haven't used that one.
So it's spelled with KNEX.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that one. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah,
K N E X.
Yeah.
Oh, JS.
Yeah, the name is derived from the toy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, an SQL builder. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a halfway point between SQL and ORM.
Okay.
As in, like, it's a bit closer to SQL than it is to ORM, but it's not quite as complicated as ORM. So I'm wondering if that's like.
Okay, I haven't used this one. It sounds pretty cool. Connects to a lot of databases. Let me just
also learn at the same time, because I'm trying to draw a parallel on like what I know and to like learn about, because as context, I've never worked with Mongo Atlas before.
Yeah, it's the first time I work in Mongo Atlas as well, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. I've used Mongo before, but not Mongo Atlas. So I've used Mongo where we've hosted it ourselves or in AWS, but Atlas comes with a few extra features and has got some, nice features as well. I don't have to worry about it. Like, it does backups. It just takes care of everything. But effectively, it's Mongo, and basically, it's like a managed version of Mongo. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, it's because Mongo Atlas can be hosted, like it's up in the cloud.
Yes, and they take care of it. So if we wanted to host it ourselves, we would host Mongo, but because their hosted version is called Mongo Atlas, so the Mongo company, they take care of it, and yeah, it's their hosted version is called Atlas, basically, which is pretty cool. Sakshi, hopefully I pronounced your name right, says, great podcast, gonna watch it again. Thank you so much. Watch us struggle. You can skip past us struggling. I'm just gonna quickly demo just changing Jen's data on my local computer. So this is Jen's profile. I've just brought it up.
This is Compass, right?
This is Compass, which is just, you can connect to Atlas or you can connect to a local Mongo. So I've connected to my local host, Mongo, which is running in Docker, but you could use it to connect to your Atlas. Basically, this is just a way to connect and kind of visualize it. So if I go to a new window, you can, it's open on the other screen, but you can see I can connect to my Atlas, I can connect to my Atlas preview, I can connect to my local host, and you can kind of choose where you connect.
Actually, I wonder if that is closer to Table Plus.
Oh, I don't know that one either.
Oh,
so many tools out there. I'm not sure that one.
So Table Plus is for SQL. It's basically similar to, I'm wondering if can you see my screen?
No, I can bring your screen up there if you want. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. So this is Table Plus.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's very similar. Looks very similar to that.
So I'm wondering if Compass is actually, for a better comparison, Compass is actually closer to this, because this also allows you to connect to databases that you have. So,
got you.
Like,
it looks
connections, and then you can directly do SQL queries here. And then
yes, exactly the same, I think.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm learning something. Learn something new today. Yay. But it's
exactly the same.
Okay.
Actually, what I should also probably show everyone, and to embarrass Jen a bit, is a picture of Jen at giving a talk at Code Bar where we met. Let me find this photo and bring it over. Actually, I'll find it in a second. I'm going to change this data, then I can and then you can refresh the page and see it change. So this is Jen's profile. And what we saw on the screen was countries and localhost. I'm just going to add some more. So I can just hit edit up here. And then in country, I can say plus, and I can say add field to country. And we're going to add, I don't know, UK 123. Make sure that's a number. So an int 32. This caught me out when I was doing my PR. And we're going to add another one. After UK, we'll just add US, and we'll just say 111. And then just to make it look nicer on the screen, we'll add something else to localhost. So referrer, we can just say twitter.com, and we can add a number of, I don't know, 543. I'll change that to int 32 as well. I should add one more just to make it even. Where else could someone have come from? They could have come from github.com. And we'll just say 967. So I will update that. And now if I share Jen's screen, and Jen, if you could refresh your stats page, please, you should see this a bit more fuller, let's say, in those two tables underneath. Let's have a look. Fingers crossed. Out of 10, everyone, is this going to work? I'm thinking I broke it.
We have to.
Oh no, it's loading. It's just a bit slow. Okay, good. So if you scroll down slightly, you have referrers, the ones I added in the database, and also locations.
Yeah.
Perfect. And if you see next to locations, you've got a right arrow on the right of it. If you click it, we're going to replicate this in referrers. And there you go. It works. So I think that looks pretty good. It could be improved. But improvements can come later, just enough to kind of make it usable for people. So if you go back to statistics, and then we'll start working on it. So, Jen, I think a good thing to do would be to add the right arrow to referrers to be similar to locations, and then we can discuss what we should call the new page and stuff like that. And while you're having a look at that, I'm just going to find this photo that I mentioned to everybody. And here we go. Found it. I don't think we have a photo together geeking out or doing the Eddie pose, but I've got a photo of you speaking on stage. Here we go, everyone. I will bring it here, and I will just steal the screen share back from Jen just for a moment. There we go. That's Jen talking in front of about, I don't know, 50 people, I think were there, maybe 50, 100 people. So great work. More public speaking, Jen, I think would be cool. Okay, switching back. I'm going to close that now. Switching back to your screen. Okay, so I'm here Jen's going to drive, and I'm here to answer questions, and everyone in the audience is here to help us as well. So I think this is really good, because I think a lot of people try and reinvent the wheel, and there's already examples of what we need to do in the code base. So you're new to the code base, which I think is also really good, because it shows people a realistic way of working. So Jen, let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, so we essentially also want this arrow to appear here on the referrers section. Also, when we click on GitHub, we also want like a new page to pop up, and Twitter. Well, I don't.
No, when you click on the arrow, it will go to the new page on the right arrow.
Okay.
So so you don't know that the statistics page, you're not familiar with that code, and so my question to you would be, how is the easiest? Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry, I see it now, because I see profile, stats, and refer. So that's
okay, nice. Okay. And then do you see, so what I was going to suggest was, what I would do if it was me coming to a new page full of code, I would search for the word location, because that's kind of near the example that I want to see. So I was just kind of curious to see how you would go about doing it. It's what I personally would do, but everyone has their own process and tries different things. I think at the top it searched for the file name. So if you click in the file and do are you on a Mac, Command F, or on Windows, I think it's Control F.
Or is it? It's not P.
I just the P is if you want to run a command or search for a file name. But if you want to search for a string within the file, yeah, there you go, you've got it. And I would type location. So we can see now it's got FA map pin, and it's also got location title, and then it's got the link afterwards. So we could grab that entire. I'm a copy and paste developer, so personally, I would grab that link and the icon, and then I would put it where I think it should go. Personally, in my opinion. But you do what you would do, and then we can talk through it.
Hold on. Yeah, because we essentially want the identical for referrer. So this is locations. So it ends here.
Yeah, but we've got the whole table already. We just want the icon. So you see it's got FA arrow right.
Yeah,
that's the icon. But then we want the link around it as well, because we're turning it into a clickable icon, basically.
Yeah. So
I would copy those 2 lines is what I would do if I was doing this. But you can type it out if you prefer. I just find copy and pasting so much easier.
Yes, so we need to go to referrers.
Exactly. Hey, Nelson. Hey, Carl. Thanks for joining. Aha. So yes, you've got the title. So you've got the FA arrow pointer, which is the icon before referrers. You've got referrers. And then the link comes in as a sibling to the referrers div. So after line 39. So not inside the same div, afterwards.
Oh.
Yep. And I would paste it in there. It's the wrong URL, but don't worry about that. Personally, what I would do is I'd hit save and see how it looks.
Oh, I mean, I can just change this to referrers, no?
Yeah. If you do your thing, whatever you think is best. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. But yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, because otherwise the names don't match.
I like it. Nice. Hey, Graham. How you doing?
Save. Yeah. It works. It's just the arrow is closer to the word than it is towards the white space.
No problem. And let me think. How would you debug this? And I can share my thoughts as well. What are you thinking?
You mean how do I move the error closer to the end of the row?
Exactly, yes. What would be your process to try and figure out why it's not at the end? And then I'm happy to share my process as well.
I believe this is like a positioning thing. So what I would do is I would go back to location and see what was being done there.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Exactly. Use an example. I was actually chatting with someone earlier today, and they were saying, I can't get this to work. And I was saying, but I've given you an exact example of how it should work that we use somewhere else in the code. Have a look at it. And they said, oh, I didn't think about that. So yeah, I think people make it harder for themselves. If there are examples of the way it should work in the code, do it the same, get it working. It might be able to be improved. It's not necessarily be perfect, but we should be able to, be consistent. So,
so I think it's this arrow right class name. So this is like the column row thing, right?
So can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
If you go to your browser and right click on the arrow that works, and then go inspect, and then has it skipped to it? No, it hasn't. Okay, just try again. Try right clicking again and inspect on the arrow, because it hasn't picked that item out of the HTML.
Oh, whoops. Just as I was about to close, it popped up. Should have been more patient.
It might be slow, yes, because it's coming from my computer.
No, also as well, because I have like a gazillion tabs open, as you can see.
Got you. And Carl says, it reminds me heavily of the Netlify analytics. And also Vercel. I got this idea from Vercel. So yes, good spot. Okay, so you've I think in your inspect, you've got the path, which I think is too deep. So I would go a bit higher, exactly. So A will be the link. And I think if you scroll up not in the code, in the browser part, just so we can see the right arrow. Yep, scroll up a bit more, just a fraction more, and then now hover the code. It will highlight the bits that you're hovering. So where it's blue at the bottom, you can kind of see it. So I would move my mouse up the tree from like to div to SVG, and then just to see kind of which part is doing the spacing in the middle. That's the way I would debug it. So there you go. You're onto something now because you've got the whole kind of row.
Oh yeah, the
So
location was
that's
this.
looking good. And I would personally go deeper down again. So I'd go down with the mouse, and just it would be it should be the icon, perfect, and then locations. Can you move the mouse down one more to locations to highlight? I think there we go. See, if you look at locations, it's completely the full width. So for me, that's kind of like that's pushing the arrow to the right, and we probably want to replicate the same. So if you inspect the icon on the left of referrers, or sorry, the right icon on referrers, and do the same again, you'll probably see referrers is really narrow, whereas you can see locations here is really wide. So I would look for something on locations.
Yes, but I am slightly confused. So why would this one be a better debugging line than where did I have it? Than this?
Oh, love it. Great question. Love this.
Yeah,
So,
because where my mouse is currently hovering over this. Yeah, so this is the blue dotted line, right, that appears on the screen, and then it's that entire column, the location and refers column, as well as the vertical where the pin icon is.
yes, if you look at the you're on the pin. If you look at the blue, I think it's bluish color. The bluish color is showing the space that icon's taking.
Yeah.
So it's taking the space that's specifically of the icon. And if you hover, if you make it go blue over locations, if you move your mouse down one, you can see locations is not just around the text, it's growing the full width, which is then pushing the other icon. And if you hover the other icon, sorry, not the icon itself, but the code. So if you go down to, I think, where it's dark blue in the code, you'll see, and go down one more, you'll see again the area it's covering is just around the icon. So it would make me think that there's nothing on either icons. The magic that's causing the icons to go to each side is happening on the text.
So I guess it will be this one, isn't it? The highlighted one right now, because that is just the arrow, right?
So that arrow's, yeah, but the arrow hasn't got any. If you on the arrow itself, that's on the white, it's the space it's taking is very small. So the one thing we can do here, and it's actually a really good example, is if you move your mouse up one more and to location and click on it. So location should become dark blue in the code. And then there is a grow in, and you can see people in the chat are already helping. So they say it's a flex, which is, it mentions shrink. So what we've got on that line is a word called grow at the end in class. So you can actually delete grow from there. It won't affect the code or anything like that, but it will affect directly on the page. So if you delete grow and hit enter, let's see what effect it has. And then just hit enter. And you can see the arrows popped left. So I use this to play with code that I don't actually want to change, because if you refresh the page, it will go back to normal. So looks like grow is causing locations to take up all the space that it's allowed, not more, but any extra space, it all gets associated to locations. So what you could do is you could put it in the code and try it in referrers, or you could try it in the browser here temporarily and see. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it back in the code. Now, so this, we need to go back to referrers, because there we go. So it's a div class that, no, that's for something different. No,
so at the end of it, it doesn't have a grow, I think, whereas the location does. So on line 137,
Oh, is it this one? Sorry, I was like,
Yeah, so on 137, it doesn't have a grow, but the location title did. So I would give that a try and see if that looks the same.
huh, no, because I was looking at line 141 instead of 137.
Yeah, that's why I suggested going to the browser and doing inspect, because then we can kind of
Okay,
see which one's taking the
okay,
area.
okay,
That's what I would do. Again, everyone debugs very differently.
okay. No, I was just no, sorry, I was just confused.
I'm always confused, so it's good to see other people confused as well. You
As
should
in, like, I was trying to like match because I can because like on the inspect console, like it maps a little bit differently because it doesn't
yes.
have the line number on the side. So like going back to Visual Studio Code, trying to like where is that line exactly?
Got you. Yes, you're right. And it's the generated code, which is slightly different. So link will change to an A and all the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So have you saved that so we see how it looks?
Yes, I have saved it. I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. I think you have. And in the browser,
just hit
yeah, I
refresh.
think it's looking good. It's already done it. It's already
Oh,
refreshed.
it gave me a new page. Why is that?
Oh, that's interesting. But it has
Yeah,
already done it. I can see the arrow in referrers
yeah,
has moved over.
yeah, yes.
It's looking good. Okay. So next, we need to actually create that page because that button, if we click it, it will go to a 404
Yeah, I
because
don't
the page doesn't exist.
think actually, where does that? So this. Okay, I can close this.
And someone's asking for the results from YouTube. Let's have a look. It's 80% front end and 20% back end. And they're completely right. I should have put full stack in there as well. I did miss that. It's 31 votes. Divyash, good point. I should have put in full stack as a third option. Okay. And Aditya, thank you so much for thinking of Flex. That really helps. Okay. So
Takes me to this page, which is weird.
that is strange.
Well, actually, no, it's supposed to be here. I don't know why. There we
Try
go.
again. Click on statistics, and let's just try again. And if you click on the arrow for referrers, it will say for yeah,
There you
that's
go.
the location one. But we added the one on the referrers side. So if you click on the referrers one, we should get a 404. I hope. It might be trying to do something clever and redirect you. Yes, if it can't find it, it's going to redirect you to this. That's fine. We were going to add that page now anyway. So
Okay.
what I would recommend doing is adding a page for location. So let's have a look. So it's accounts, statistics, locations, and in Next.js, that kind of follows the file structure.
So, because a new page did not pop up. It just took you. It took you to like the pie chart page, didn't it?
Yes, so let's open that file. So if you click on
It's this. I think it's this.
this is the table underneath. So yeah, it's very similar to the pie chart page. We will do something very similar to that. But it's the page we want to create doesn't exist yet. So we can do it in two ways. We could copy the locations page and just update it to be referrers. That's the easiest way. Or we
Yeah.
could code it from scratch. There are different ways we can do it. But if you open the files on the left, at the top left, so above search, yeah, there we go. And then if you scroll to find, there you go, locations. I think it's just the one below that we're selected on. So if you scroll up slightly, there we go, locations. It says pages, accounts, statistics, locations. And I think that's the URL that we had in the browser for the pie chart. So
Where?
so this is the correct file for locations, but we need to make a new one now for referrers. And we could cheat, and I'm conscious of time, so I don't know if you want to cheat. And if we cheat, I like cheating as well, right? If it's not,
it's all about working efficiently and smartly.
Exactly. So we've already been going for 45 minutes. I'm hoping we can get it done in the next 15 or 20 minutes. So what I would personally do if I was doing this, I would copy and paste the locations file and rename it to referrers and go through the code. And I can talk you through the code and
Yeah,
just change what we need because the data structure is the same. The
yeah,
location of the data is the same. It's just different information.
yeah.
So I think on the left where it says locations.js, you can actually just you click copy and paste, and it should just make a duplicate of it.
Copy path.
No, I just literally on the keyboard. So if you click on locations on the left, and I just do Command C, Command V.
This.
Yeah, without the right clicking. So I'd left click on it,
Oh, okay.
and then
Oh,
Command C, Command V is what I do. But again, everyone's very different.
and then Command V. But where do I need to open
No,
up?
that's it. No, just V, and VS Code will work its magic. There we go. And then you can rename it to referrers.
Oh, I didn't know this. Oh,
Someone taught me that on a live stream like a few months ago. It's brilliant. It's just so much easier.
yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Where's rename?
The second from the bottom. Yeah.
So it's
Referrers with an S.
yeah. .js.
Perfect.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh. Wow. That's an extra step. Oh, wow. Yeah, I love this. Like I'm learning new information.
Awesome. Great to hear. I'm sure people are writing in the chat. Eddie, you can do it even more efficiently. Do it this way. So let's have a look. So here we go. Graham loves his accessibility. So he says now he can see the code. Should be part of the hyperlink. We need to make it more accessible. Absolutely, Graham. We're leaving you some green squares, Graham. So it's not perfect. Even the pie chart isn't perfect. We are leaving it so you can get some green squares for Hacktoberfest as well. Okay. Let's have a look. We're going to see if we can get this merged today as well, and then people can start making further improvements to it as well afterwards. So let's go through the file, and then you can change things as you go along. So we import the auth because we want to make sure the person's logged in. We import the session from next auth as well. These are all just they're in most files. Dynamic allows us to load the graph with Next.js more efficiently. Get user API, that's named wrong. We actually have an issue open that should be called get profile API. So hopefully someone should be renaming that soon because I think it's a bit misleading. So that's loading the person's profile. We have a logger so we can log things. Alert, if there's no data, we want to display an alert. Page just wraps our page with the right kind of centered and padding and layout and stuff. Page head gives us a way to set the page title. Abbreviate number allows us to abbreviate really, really long numbers. That will just make it look prettier. Like if it's 10,123, it will just put 10,000.1 and then K at the end. And then project name is just because we renamed from Linkfree to BioDrop. It's allowed us just to, if we ever renamed it in the future, which I don't think we will, but allowed us to do that. And then we use on line 14 to 16, we use dynamic, which loads the imports dynamically. So after the page loads again, so it's not server-side rendered because that caused some issues. And then we have the get server-side props, which allows us to do some data rendering on the server to make it a bit more efficient. So if you scroll a bit more down, I don't think we need to change anything just yet. Again, 90% of this file will be the same. We get the context, the request and response. We get the session. If there's no session, we ask them to log in. Again, that's the same. That's going to be fine. If they're not a premium account, we redirect them to onboarding. This probably won't happen because people won't have the link to click it without a premium account. So it's not going to happen. It's if someone just tries to play with the URL. That's the only thing. That's why we don't display a nice message, but we keep that in. That's fine. If we scroll down a bit further, we then get this on 41, we get the session username because we'll need that. Everything about the profile is tied to the username. We then use the import we had up above, which is called get user API, which will be renamed hopefully soon to get profile API. And we get the profile. If profile's not found, again, that's not going to happen if someone's not playing with the URL and trying to trick it. It will be fine. But it would redirect them to no profile, get them to create their profile if they managed to get to this page and they didn't have one. And then if we scroll down a bit further, this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So what we do now is we create a stats array. Again, I think we keep that the same. We can just call it stats. It's generic. There's nothing else on this page. If there's profile stats, actually, I've noticed a bit of a bug. This should not be stats. Each page should be a bit more specific, because there could be a stats object, but not with the right information, if that makes sense. So I think we'll fix it here, and we'll also fix it in locations.js as well. So I think on line 58, it should say profile.stats.referrers.
Yeah.
Because the stats object could exist, but there could be no referrers actual data in there. So, and before we forget, if you could go to location.js and make the same change on that other file, because I will forget. My memory is like a goldfish. I'm terrible. It'll probably be on the same line as well. Oh, a bit further up.
There
Yes. So on line 58, if you could just put .countries.
.countries.
Oh, sorry. What do we call it in the database? It is location. You're absolutely right. Let me just triple check. It is countries in the database. Okay. It is countries.
Okay.
We call it locations in the UI, but the data is saved as countries.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's, yeah, exactly the same as line 62. If you save that, yeah, let's go back to referrers. Let's have a look. Looks good. So what we do here is, if referrers exist, it's then going to loop over the data and sort it and change it from an object to an array. So we'll need to make some changes here. I'm going to let Jen drive for a bit while I look at the chat. So Jen, I'm going to let you update lines 59 to 64. Have a look at that, and I will just check the chat and see what I'm missing. Graham's probably shouting at me. Graham's not shouting at me. Great. Okay. Do you want me to talk through those lines? Let me know if you do, or if you have any questions. Let me know.
So we've got. So we're getting the keys, object.keys, and then we're mapping it to countries.
Would it help if I just quickly showed you what the data looks like in the database?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay, let me just steal the screen share back, and this is what it looks like in the database. So we've got the stats object. Make it
Would I
bigger.
have access to that database from my end? No.
Sorry. Yeah, you have access to this because we're going through VS Code Live Share. So this is the data you have in your account. This is your profile, Berry Jen. And this is the data you have, but this is the structure that the application will save the data in. So it's stats, and then we're interested in countries, and then it's going to display it as it saves it as an object. So we've got dash if it doesn't know which country it's from. Then you've got the so it's name and value. So it's kind of key value pair. So it's not an array, it's an object, which is why we do the object keys step in that file.
Yeah, because it's an object. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought if I show you that might make a bit more sense.
Yes. So
okay, let me switch back to your screen.
Sorting. So what needs to be changed?
So on line 59, we need to change countries, where it says .countries to referrers. And while you're doing that, I'll just explain what object keys does. So what that does is it takes the keys from the object as an array. So where we had UK, US, and dash, what it's going to do is return an array. Actually, I can write on my VS Code and it will appear on your screen. Let me do that. And then I can give an example what each line is going to do. So hopefully it should appear on your screen. So here, the data is going to get returned like this. It's going to be dash UK, not necessarily in this order, but this is the structure it will be, US. So that's what will happen to the data, because up here, the data looks like this. UK, there we go.
Okay.
Dash 3, for example.
Yeah, okay.
So we can't loop over this. So what we do is we convert this into an array. There's so many different ways to do this. You could, instead of getting object keys, we could get object entries, and that gives us an array of arrays. But I don't like having zeros and ones scattered through my code. So I prefer, again, people in the chat, let me know if there's another way to do this. We so we get we get the keys from the object. And then on the next line, we map over each one. So you could, I think it's probably best to change line 60 where it says country. It's probably best to change it to referrer singular.
So which means that on line 61, we also need to do the same.
Exactly. And 61 is, I've just used the shorthand there as well, which is, it would be referrer : referrer, but we can just do referrer and it'll be singular. And that will be UK, US. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong data. I'm thinking countries, but the structure is the same, but it should actually be Twitter, localhost, GitHub. Let me just change that so it's not confusing. That should be like twitter.com. It's the same structure, so it'll still work. But I was thinking of location and countries. So that could be github.com, and then it will still be the dash. And then this would get twitter.com, and this would get GitHub. The structure is still the same. So what we've done is still correct. And then so 61, it gives us the name. So it will be twitter.com or github.com. And then the value, we want to go into the referrers object and pull out twitter.com's value or githubs.com's value. And then the map returns, and I'll draw it here as well. The map will return this. It will return an array of objects, which will be like github.com : 2. Oh, there we go. That's what it will return. So the structure will change from this to this.
Object, to an array, and then to object within an array. Objects.
Exactly, and that will allow us later on in the React part, allow us to just loop over this and display. Sorry, that won't change to that. I made a mistake. It will be referrer : github.com, value 2. There you go. Sorry, my mistake. We're trying to multitask very badly. Referrer : Twitter. So you'll still be an array of objects, but it will be like that value. And I won't do the last one just to save space. That's what the data will look like. And we're doing this on the server side to make it a bit more performant. And then we sort the data by its value. So the highest one, so the biggest value will be first. So if GitHub was 2 and Twitter value was 1, it would put GitHub first, but if it was different, it would reverse it. And then we return stats to the React component. Okay, so I think we're looking good so far. I think that's the hardest part done, to be honest. How are you feeling so far, Jen?
This code base is quite complicated. It's a massive code base because you're returning things to React, the front end, and you're also doing stuff in the back end on the same file. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So again, I'm still learning Next.js, but yeah, it allows you to do things on the server side and allows you to do things on the front end. And the main logic for getting the user and all that is happening in another file, which is the get user API. But we could move this into the API file if we wanted. But at the moment we're doing it here. And that's something I'd love to hear people's thoughts on. Is that a good practice? Is it better to have this as minimal as possible? So yeah, there's different ways to do it. That's why I think coding is such an art, because it can be done in so many different ways. But I have a good, strong feeling we're going to get this finished in the next 10 minutes. I think so.
This is great exposure to Next.js because I like back in June I had an interview and a take-home test which involved me coding in Angular, which I've never used, Next.js. And yeah, that ended in a bit of a crash landing because I wasn't able to install Angular properly. Because
Got you.
back when I first installed npm, I think I I excluded some line. Anyways, this because like when I first installed npm was like almost 3 years ago, and then
Okay.
so when I was trying to install Angular, I kept on having to add the pseudo in front.
Oh, okay.
Which I
Yes.
didn't know. This is when I brought my problem to a co-bar pair
I
programming teacher,
see.
and the coach there pointed that out. But then we only had like 2 hours, so we weren't even able to like completely debug what was
Right.
wrong with it. So we had to like spill over into like the next session, and then we ended up
Okay.
having to use Docker just so that I can install Angular
Right.
in order to write something in Angular. So that
Okay. Yeah, the thing with sudo is it's what I've always found is people use it, and I see it happen all the time, literally every day. They get an error, and the first thing they do is they put sudo on. I'm not saying this is what you did, but it's just something I see all the time. And it solves that one problem, but then it creates so many other problems afterwards. So the one thing I like to say to people is if you're making a system change, that's when you would use sudo. If you're doing something as your user and it's in kind of your user space, as it were, I know it's a bit kind of gray for me to say that. But you shouldn't really need sudo. I use sudo, I don't know, once a month. Like I never really use it. It shouldn't be needed.
But anyways, like I said, it was because when I first npm, I forgot to copy one line,
Got you.
when I was
And it,
using Blue or something. But this was like back 3 years ago when I
wow.
literally knew nothing about like nothing. I've never touched programming up until like winter of 2020.
We've all been there though. This is why I think it's such a interesting story because it's something. It's like a rite of passage. We all have to overuse sudo, have problems, and then learn from it. I've done it 100 times before as well over the years. So it's something I think we all have to do and go through. So it's good that you got it. You've done it. You got it out of your way. You kind of tick that box, and you've learned from it. It's just part of the fun, I think.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Next is interesting. It's yeah.
And now this is the React part. So you said you've done React before. So this is very, very similar to what you're used to. So here we can, oh, I've noticed another bug that we have made. I say we, because if you look on line 85, it says stats.length. But remember,
It,
did we rename it? Let me
no,
see.
you don't have any country stats yet, so
Oh
this.
no, but that's okay, I think. I'm just looking at the code on my screen. If you scroll up slightly, just a little bit, just to the props, a bit further up, um, if you and a little bit more, yes. So we actually save stats to be the result of the referrers or countries, so that it isn't profile stats. It's just the referrers. So we're actually okay. We've simplified it for the React component. So what's in stats is the exact data that we want. So that's actually fine. So ignore what I said. There is no bug. We're all okay. We're all okay.
But I think
Everything's fine.
the message should be changed.
Yes. No, you're right. That should be changed. Sorry. I was looking at line 85.
Oh, okay.
85 is fine. But no, you're right. 88 needs to change. Definitely. Perfect. Okay. And then the graph dynamic chart will be exactly the same because it's just getting new data. So that will work absolutely fine. Let's see what else you've got in the table below. Again, it's got, we probably need to move that table to a component. I could do that on a live stream later on. And then you've got location. So we probably want to change 102 to, it's just the title of the column in the
Yeah.
table.
Sorry, I was still trying.
Oh, sorry, I was racing ahead. Sorry, you do your thing.
Oh, no worries. Refer
I think we should put capital R for that though.
capital R.
Yeah, and I think visits are fine. Referrers, they came from Twitter or GitHub, and there's visits. I think that's fine. What else have we got down here? Okay, so the structure will be referrer, will be singular, and then value should be the same. It's going to work. Everyone out of 10, write in the chat, how much do you think it's going to work? I think this is 10 out of 10. It's going to work first time.
So
It never happens, but we've got Jen here who's been picking up on all my mistakes. So it's going to work first time.
Yeah, I should be practicing. Item.value.
And I think item.value is fine. That's what we mapped it to. I think you hit save and let's go. Let's have a look. I'm super excited. Let's do it.
It's compiling successful.
Okay, let's go back to the browser. The suspense is killing me. And then if you click on the referrers arrow, oh, it's probably reloading. Wait, we'll give it a second. It's me rushing ahead and getting too excited again.
I guess sorry, my laptop.
No,
being
it's
slow.
fine. No, it's in the internet as well. Okay, and you click on the right arrow for referrers. Let's go. Let's go.
I don't have any refer stats yet.
Oh, okay, you do. I definitely added to the database. Hopefully, I didn't do it wrong. Okay, so we need to do some debugging. Are you still okay to go for another 10 minutes and we can debug this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying this.
Okay, cool. So I would recommend, I mean, I'll let you debug this how you think, but I'm also happy to give my suggestions. So let me know, talk through what you're thinking, and then if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm also happy to share my thoughts on how I debug as well.
Referrer stats, yeah. So we need to go back to the refers page. Refer. I'm going refer stats maybe. Oh, it says no results. Huh. I don't have any.
And I think I've spotted the issue.
Hold on. So it's probably not any of this above. Yeah.
Well, what I would recommend was put a console log really near the top, and let's just see if any data is coming out.
Here?
Yeah, I would put it. I would console log profile stats, and let's see what's inside. Let's just start right at the top, and we'll work our way down, and see. So yeah, go ahead. 56 sounds like a good place to put it.
Yeah, I was like, because I was jumping through all of these. It couldn't have been it. Like everything was loaded properly, and then I think it's when it. So yeah, 56.
Let's have a look. Because before we manipulate any of the data as well, so we should hopefully see something.
Profile stats. Or was it statistics? What did we name it?
It was.
Stats. Was it in quotes? It was a string.
No, we'll want it to be the actual object. So we want it to be the variable. So it's profile. You've got a double R, by the way.
Oh, right.
Actually, in fact, you can delete stats. Just do the console log the whole profile object. Yep, and hit save, and let's go back to that page, and we will see it in the terminal underneath. There you go. Perfect. Okay, let's have a look. What do we see?
That's it.
Okay, so if you look at this, if you look at stats, what do you notice?
Sorry, I didn't. I should have scrolled up. What? It's a math.
No, that's all from before. So ignore all that. It's just the last bit of JSON that you see there, and you can see stats just after halfway down. You got stats, countries, and referrers. What do you notice? I've found out the issue. I don't know where the issue is. I know where it is, but I don't know if it's in the code or the database. But if you look at the referrers, what do you notice? The way it's spelt in the code and the way it's...
a typo.
So yeah, is it spelt double R or single R? I don't know.
Double R.
So I've messed up in the database. Let me just steal the screen share back, and I'm going to see. There might be it might be a bug that's deeper. So let me just switch back to my screen. So referrers, I added this manually, but in my profile, I haven't. So I'm going to check my profile and see what the code has done. So the code is saving it as single R. So we need to use single R in the code to make it work, but that might, if it's spelled wrong, then we should raise another bug to get it all renamed correctly. But I have a feeling it is single R, or there's two ways to do it. So let me have a look. How to spell referrers.
Oh, because on everything else it's spelled with a double R.
When you say everything else, where are you looking?
Like the web browser, like the code, like on Visual Studio Code.
It says it's double R. What do we have in the database? I forget now. Okay, so I have created a big bug in the code, but we have to work with the bug because the data in production is all saved with a single R.
Okay,
So,
not a problem. I
so I'm
think
gonna. It's not something
there
we can
is
fix
a
now.
way where you can select all of the like all of the words that contain referrers and then just change it into an R. But I forgot to do that.
Yes. So if you double click any of the referrer words, I do then Command F. There is a quicker way to do this, and I can't think how to do it. And then if you see the little arrow on the left, click on the arrow on the left of where it says referrers highlighted. Yeah, click on that arrow. Underneath it, then just I usually like kind of copy and paste it, but yeah, single R.
For
And there's
is it
probably everybody shouting at the screen.
is this how you spell it? Yeah, yes, yeah. Let's just take out one R and then
Update it. Let's go.
what is it? Replace enter well, replace all.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, and now if you save it, let's hopefully the page works. Let's see. Okay, out of 10, everyone. I'm feeling more confident. Definitely a 9. At the page, give the page a moment to reload. We should see data. You're right. In the URL, it is double R. But yes, there you go. It works. So there was github.com 967, twitter.com 543, and localhost is last with 9. And the pie should show the name, not the number. The number on hover, but the name. That's a bug. I'm gonna let someone else fix it, so don't worry about that. So that works. So we've got the page, we've got it working. So that is very, very cool. Not bad for an hour and 15 minutes. Well, when we talked for a bit, first 15 minutes as well.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Although I feel like you did most of the work.
You did all the driving. I mean, you did all the driving. So you did all the hard work. I just offered moral support.
No, because you were explaining the code base to me. Yeah, this code base is quite massive.
And we probably need to improve it and make it more like break it down into smaller sections. We are going to rewrite it in after Hacktoberfest, possibly with TypeScript. So there will be a lot of refactoring going on there. A lot of people can get involved.
But I think this is great because this is pretty much what one would see in a commercial setting. Like, is that you would be navigate through this massive code base, and you don't have much time to learn about the in and outs of a massive code base. You're kind of expected to just here it is. Have fun.
Exactly right. So this is why I always encourage people to get involved in open source. It's a great way.
Like this, for my mentor has also been telling me like should probably get into open source, which has been in the back of my mind. But it's a bit daunting because even though I do have a list of I think I've bookmarked it somewhere. A list of beginner friendly. It's somewhere beginner friendly open source projects that would be great for a beginner to just hop on GitHub. But I've looked through it, and it's just I think also part of it is the community behind some of these beginner friendly open source project is that it's like I said because it's I don't know, it's just it's daunting because you don't know anyone, and then you don't know even though you read through the README, but you're still kind of confused. There's really no one there to actually walk you through what the project is about, and so which is why I still haven't really plunged into the world of open source just because me being still very much beginner, as everyone can tell.
That's why you need to pick a project, I think, that has a good community, because then people will help and support.
Yeah, and then having to even before this, I was having trouble downloading Mongo onto my laptop, right? And then the community was again very very friendly and very helpful. And then so that is, even though there are tons of heaps of beginner friendly open source projects, but not every community is willing to actually put in the effort to walk you through the step of just forking the repo onto your local machine and actually help you troubleshoot when they're well, how can you not know how to set up Mongo? I'm just oh.
It's so hard when you don't know how. It took me ages to do it as well. The thing is, I think with tech,
because it also reconfiguring your IP address, and I've never had to do anything, even though I know what an IP address is, but like I guess with something as complicated as Mongo, it requires that, whereas like SQL, no, you just literally download it and use
Yes, I
or
think in
that's it.
tech, it's really easy when you know how, but when you don't know how, it's really hard, which is why I love it when people, support each other, because we can all help each other with something that we know. Because when you know, it's easy, but when you don't know, it's really hard. I mean, it took me ages to install Mongo and get it set up as well, because I didn't know how either, and I didn't know what I needed to do. So that's why I love the community. They're super, super supportive. So yeah, this was really good fun, and well done on, let me bring up the page. I bring up the page here. I just did share the repo in the chat. Aditya, thanks for asking. And they reminded me to share it in chat. And this is my stats. So when Jen had her page up, it had her stats. This is my account. I'm logged in as me. And this is showing my stats. So we are going to get this probably deployed tomorrow. So this will be on in BioDrop probably tomorrow. So yes, Jen, thank you so much for geeking out with me for the last hour and 20 minutes. I really appreciate it.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed that. It wasn't
Thank you.
as you said, as intimidating, because I was actually quite anxious. Yeah.
No way. I'm a friendly person. I know I'm screaming in a lot of my photos,
Oh,
but I am a
no,
friendly person.
I think like because I've never done anything live, pair programming or anything. Well, yeah, pair programming live before, so I was just like,
the only extra difficulty with doing it live is trying to keep an eye on the chat, because people are usually like helping and you trying to like.
Where do you see the chat? I don't see the chat.
You should see it in your StreamYard.
Yeah, like I'm on my StreamYard right now. I just see the private chat, but where is the group chat, public chat?
You should have the public chat from YouTube. Interesting. You should have it.
Oh, so I need to be on YouTube instead.
No, you should see it all in StreamYard.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Maybe it's the comments.
Oh, they call it comments. Yes.
Yeah,
you're
okay.
Right.
Okay, so I just have to switch on over the top. I was like, where are the comments appearing? Like, I don't see them.
So yeah, everyone's been, super supportive in the chat, which is why I love doing things in public. But it's a good place to end the stream. I think we've got the page working. Thank you so much, Jen. I'm going to put the holding page up for like 30 seconds. If you can hang on, I'd love to thank you again personally after I end the live stream. That will be great. Thanks everyone for joining. And if you want to come and geek out with me more, you can find me in the EddieHub Discord, link in the description below. Go follow Jen on LinkedIn. I think you are linked below as well. And hopefully we can all geek out more on in the EddieHub community on some of our open source projects, or even your own open source projects. Come and share those too. Thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Jen, I'm going to bring up the holding page for 30 seconds and I'll chat to you in a moment as well.
No worries.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jen. Yes, enjoy the rest of your evening.